The Enlightenment and its subsequent philosophies discarded classical metaphysics and classical theology as a relic of a more superstitious past. They abandoned rational theology to a large extent, and many, like Karl Popper, have argued that science has now replaced religion as the dominant ideology of the West in particular. However, the reality is that classical theology can be used to not only defend religious belief against modernist objections and against the objections of the various philosophies and schools of thought that have arisen during the Enlightenment and post Enlightenment, but it can also solve many of modernity's deepest philosophical and deepest existential concerns and problems. To begin with one such theological principle or metaphysical principle that one can use, it's mentioned by many theologians such as An-Nasafi in his famous Al-Aqaid al-Nasafiyya, the Creed of An-Nasafi, that the realities of things are established, i.e. things are real and in and of themselves they do indeed exist. Sa'aduddin al-Taftazani, in his commentary on An-Nasafi's work, mentions the real essence al-haqiqa of a thing and its quiddity al-mahiyya are that which constitutes the identity of a thing, ma bihi al-shay huwa huwa, as is exemplified by the application of the term rational or natiq, animal, to man, in contrast to the application of the terms laughing animal and writing animal, in which case it is possible to conceive of man as not being described by the terms laughing and writing, inasmuch as they, laughing and writing, are accidents. And it may be said further that that which constitutes the identity of a thing is, with respect to its being verified as having external reality, a real essence, and with respect to its being individualized, it is a certain particular thing, huwiyya. But without respect to either of these, it is a quiddity. This principle was classically applied to the Sophists, or as the Arabic term is, as-Sufista'iyya. Sa'aduddin al-Taftazani further mentions, some of them deny the real essences of things, and maintain that they are fancies, awham, and vain imaginations, khayalat. These are the obstinate, al-inadiyya. Others deny the real existence of essences, maintaining that essences only follow from what one happens to believe, as that if we believe a thing to be a substance, jawhar, it is a substance, but if we believe it to be an accident, it is an accident, or if we believe a thing to be eternal, qadim, it is eternal, but if we believe it to be originated, hadith, it is originated. These are the opinioners, al-indiyya. Still others deny that there can be any knowledge of whether a thing has real existence or not. They assert that they are in doubt, and that they are in doubt even of their doubt, and so on. These are the agnostics, Allah adriya. Muhammad Hassanain al-Zawahiri similarly mentions in his book At-Tahqiq At-Tam fi Ilm al-Kalam, the complete research in the science of rational or speculative theology, that the Sophists denied the validity of a priori or self-evident truths. Then he further talks about these three categories, similar to what Sa'aduddin al-Taftazani describes above. Both of these scholars go on to mention quite an extreme solution to this debate. Sa'aduddin al-Taftazani mentions in his sharh, in his commentary of Al-Aqaid al-Nasafi, but the truth is that there is no way to enter into discussion with them, especially the agnostics, because they do not admit anything known by which an unknown is to be established. Rather, the only way is to punish them with fire, that they may either confess or be consumed in fire. Now, this might seem like quite an extreme solution. Burning people isn't exactly a good thing, neither should it be condoned. But what these theologians were actually trying to point out was this was more of a metaphorical device. What they were trying to convey was that if, hypothetically, we were to burn said people, either they would quite clearly accept that they feel pain. If they feel pain, then they're affirming the reality of pain. And if they're affirming pain, then they will distinguish it from pleasure, which is an intellectual judgment. It is a rational judgment to make. Therefore, they are affirming the validity of things, that they are affirming the realities of things, and they are affirming the validity of making rational or empirical judgments based on the assumption that things really do exist. Of course, these doubts and these sorts of arguments are similarly used by many modern day skeptics, or those who may deny the reality of things in our existence as well, in a modern context. And so these theological arguments can be used against them as well. Just as a point of context here, the Sophists were originally a Greek philosophical tradition that was inherited by the Muslim world. And it's well known that many Muslims were influenced by Greek philosophy, hence this movement was present within Muslim circles as well. Common arguments that the Sophists made were as follows. Some of them said that common objections included the following: that many types of knowledge that are described as necessary, some of these are sense perceptions, al-hissiyat, meaning essentially what can be known from the five senses, but that these senses often fall into error. Some of them are based on immediate perceptions, but that these are subject to differences of opinion and are open to ambiguities. And as for syllogistic speculations, meaning an-nadhariyat, reflections that are based upon syllogisms that give us deductive knowledge from major premises which are either sense perceptions or immediate perceptions. Many of them argue that the major premises are unsound, and that what necessarily follows is the unsoundness of the conclusions. It is for this reason, they add, that thinking human beings have many differences of opinion concerning conclusions arrived at by syllogistic speculation. Hence, the truth cannot really be known, and the realities of things can't be established. The very basic replies to all of these are as follows. Number one, the error that occurs in the senses when perceiving things occurs in certain instances, but this does not negate the validity of sense perceptions in general or in other instances where the particular causes of the error are not present. The differences of opinion that may occur in regards to immediate perceptions by reason of one's lack of acquaintance with the subject, or of one's difficulty in forming a clear notion of the subject on account of its abstruousness, it does not destroy the possibility of forming immediate perceptions. Meaning, if one makes an error in his judgment, or one has a incorrect opinion, or one does not have a clear notion of a subject, that does not mean that the immediate perception is now invalid as a whole. And furthermore, the many differences of opinion that occur in conclusions arrived at by syllogistic speculation as a result of the unsoundness, which may sometimes occur in the act of speculation, do not destroy in other instances the validity of conclusions arrived at by syllogistic speculation. This further points out and directs us towards the fact that a priori truths, or first principles, awwaliyat, in philosophical discourse are important. It's from these philosophical first principles, awwaliyat, or a priori truths. Based upon these, we can form our worldview and we can form our understanding of the world. It's not the case that these have to be proven from an external source because they are true in and of themselves. Muhammad Hassanin al-Zawahiri mentioned in his book, The Complete Research in the Science of Rational Theology, that they are, meaning the a priori or self-evident truths, badihiyat, the first principles, they are independent in their essence from being driven away from, and doubt in this doesn't reach us, meaning the theologians, with these doubts, meaning the doubts of the likes of the skeptics and the sophists regarding the existence of first principles, which we know that they are incorrect, meaning these doubts. And even if we don't know the way in which they are incorrect, that is because the first principles are self-evidently true, they are true in and of themselves, and hence objections to them are in and of themselves incorrect, because these a priori truths are in and of themselves, in their essence, valid and self-evident. Al-Ghazali, in his book Al-Munqidhu min al-Dalal, The Deliverance from Error, has a very pertinent quote in this chapter, or in this particular subject. For indeed the awwaliyat, first principles, aren't sought after, for indeed they are present to the mind, because of the fact that they are self-evident truths. Hence, this theological principle of the fact that the realities of things are established, that they are known, and that self-evident a priori truths and first philosophical principles can be used to establish a solid worldview and a foundational view of reality, refutes the sophist and furthermore the modern skeptical philosophy of doubting the realities of things and doubting the validity of things and doubting the existence of reality and things as they are. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to like, share and subscribe.